let's start with end-to-end browser tests. The very first thing to do is to understand our application under test. So the application that we are using is saucedemo.com. This is a simple e-commerce application. You can see there are a number of acceptable usernames, right? If you want to log in, and then secret sauce. So here is what that application looks like. You can remove or add items to a cart. You can see the cart gets updated. Then when you go inside of the cart, you'll see the things that exist in the cart, and then you just can do a checkout. And then when you are successfully checked out, you get this message, thank you for your order, right? Represents a lot of common applications that are existing today. So let's think about a some of our testing gaps that we want to cover and ensure are working for this application. And those I'm actually having saved here. And here is just a part of our testing strategy. I wouldn't say it's comprehensive. It could be more detailed for sure, but I think that it covers a lot of very important, very business relevant functionality that we want to ensure is working. Here's how it works, right? You can see you got 4 different columns, and we're going to be updating this throughout the workshop. So we obviously want to make sure that the login page renders, which ensures that our application is up and running. When we test it, we're going to actually replace this with a check mark. And throughout, we're going to decide which type of test are we actually going to use to meet this expected behavior and the technologies that we're going to use to perform that testing type, right? We're going to ensure that a valid user can log in and ensure that a user can check out, probably one of the most important test cases, because that's how our e-commerce app generates money, is when people can actually check out. Then in today's modern day and age, it's extremely important that our application looks good on different types of browsers, because web applications nowadays are typically responsive, and one of the biggest problems that can happen with web applications is different renderings of the application can cause different kinds of bugs. We're going to talk about that later. And so we want to ensure that each of our most important pages looks good on Chrome and Safari, the 2 most popular browsers, in the most popular resolution. We can even take this a lot further and ensure that this looks good not only on desktop, but also on mobile, right, which serves about 50% of the world's traffic. Then we can do a lot more testing, which unfortunately I didn't have time to set up in today's workshop, but we can kind of think about how there's more testing to be done even after all of this. Even with such a small application, we can ensure our application is accessibility friendly, making sure that front-end performance is behaving as appropriate, and that our application is secure, and potentially other testing types, as I mentioned, kind of making sure it looks good on mobile, and maybe even some other stuff that I haven't thought about. So that's our application. To you all, kind of thinking about, if we're going to start tackling these risks, how are we going to ensure that our login page renders? Well, that test we can very easily do with a functional browser test. And so at this point, right, the functional browser test is going to basically pull up our application and ensure that our application is working and rendering. And so now is an exercise for everybody to do. You're going to write some tests using best practices by going to this class, and then finishing all of the tests. The instructions are in there for how to finish the tests. You're going to run all the tests and make sure they work. And you can do that at the end by running tests like this, and then all of your tests should pass. Some of the rules that you have to follow in order to make these tests work. We're using page objects, which already exist for you all, so we don't have to code them from scratch, but it's really great to see them in there and be able to use them. One test for one feature, and do not create any new code. All the code is already there for you. You're just going to reuse existing code. So go ahead and start doing that now. I'll show you where to get started. So if you got your environment, Gitpod or locally set up, you're basically navigating to this end-to-end test. Oh, and let me actually explain the layout of the repository. So you can see I'm here in the workshop module, right? We have exercises and we have solutions. The solutions are basically what happens after the exercise has been completed. If for whatever reason you stumble and something weird happens and you can't solve the exercise, you can always come back to solutions and check the exact solution, but don't peek at the solutions until you feel it's necessary, because then it's not as fun to do the exercise when you already know the answer, right? And so with that said, you're going to be doing all the exercises in this exercise package. You're going to navigate to end-to-end tests in this one, and then you are going to follow the instructions for implementing these tests. The very first test I already have implemented for you. You can see it's ensuring that our application renders. You can see it's already using the page objects that have been created. It's visiting our login page and asserting that our login page is displayed. We can run this test. And we can navigate to Sauce Labs. We can sign in. You can already see my IntelliJ did tell me that one test has passed, but we can also navigate to Sauce Labs. And here is our test. You can see it says our app renders, right? You can see it has a video that will execute exactly what our app does. So visits the login page, and that's it. Ensures that an element is present, which is this is displayed method. And then there's two other tests remaining, right? That the login works and that a user can check out, meeting all three of our requirements, A, B, and C right here. So that's what we're trying to meet with these end-to-end tests. So go ahead, give this a shot. I'll give you all a little bit of time to set that up. All the page objects already exist. You literally just reusing the code, right? So think about navigating the application. I'm just going to be talking here. Feel free to keep coding. Think about navigating the application, okay? Let me get back to the beginning. We got the login page. After the login page, we got a products page. After a products page, we got the shopping cart page. After the shopping cart page, we go to the checkout step 1, I think, checkout page. Let me see if there's a step 1. Yeah, the checkout step 1. There might be a checkout overview. Let's see here. So we got a checkout step 1 page and a checkout overview page and a checkout complete page. And that checkout complete page is after this guy, checkout complete. So that's how one page object maps to one HTML page or component. That's the idea behind page objects. So you're going to have one class, one instantiation of a class per page for that last, final, most important test. And maybe to help you all along, I'll go through the second test together. So let's do the login works together, right? So we're adding the code below here. So we have our login page. What's the first thing that we want to do when we visit the login page? We want to log in. So I just hit dot and you can navigate the definitions, right? We're going to log in. and then it's asking for a username. That username will come from the beginning, standard user. And we're going to enter that here. Okay. Now that you are logged in, what's next? Well, you just need an assertion, right, to ensure that you are successfully logged in. So why don't we do something like assert true, and it's going to be a very similar assertion as here, right? Here we logged in and asserted that a page is visible. So why don't we do the same thing? So in that case, we're going to be on what? Which page is that going to be after we are logged in? Let's see. A logical page object is the products page. So let's see if that exists. Look, there it is, a products page. Okay. What is it asking for? A driver. You can see how we've passed in drivers before. So just pass that in. And then, oh, there it is. Look, an is displayed method. Beautiful. Oh, and actually, sorry, I totally tripped you up. There's actually already an assertion for you here. So you really only needed, you didn't need this. And I messed up one other thing is I totally forgot to visit the login page, right? So we need to open it first. There you go. We visit, we log in, and that's already there. So let's give this a shot. Let's see if it worked. Yeah, don't be touching the assertions. The assertions are there in place, meaning that the test is going to keep failing until you actually make it pass. And I don't want you passing the test by changing the assertions. I want you passing the test by writing the correct test code. Cool. So there's our login works. Let's look at Sauce Labs, how it shows up here. There's our login works test. You can see got a green success check mark. Here it executed on Windows 10 96, took 11 seconds. Let's open it up and see what actually happens. Beautiful. That is how the test works. Oh, I see a really good question. I see a really good question from one person. So Screener visual end-to-end testing, unfortunately, doesn't have like a self-service sign up, right? You have to get a demo account first. Let me show you exactly what I'm talking about. So if we come here and where I tell you to get your accounts, so here, you have to request a demo account, and you're not like gonna be able to get an API key automatically as you can in Sauce Labs. So if you didn't do this beforehand, basically just ignore visual testing for now, and know that your visual tests will not run until you have that API key. However, obviously you'll be able to watch me run the tests, and so in the future you'll just plug in your API key and your stuff will work. Yeah, with no API key, your visual test will basically fail, right? So in your sanity test, with your visual, you know, if it was whatever wrong, right? Wrong or non-existent, your visual test, let's see what error you get. I mean, it's definitely not going to work. I don't know what error it's going to be. Let's see.
Probably a 401 unauthorized.
Nice, perfect.
At least that's what
Ruslan, I'm getting a 500
there.
child key fails because API key is required. So that's what would happen to you all if you don't have an API key in Screener. If you do have a Screener account, to get your API key, let's log in. That'll be in account, and then API key, you click it, you'll have access to it. And then you just copy and put it in your environment variables. Okay, cool. I think we have a good amount of people that are finished. Cool. So the question is, how does all this work? I made you do an exercise without really explaining everything behind the scenes. Hopefully it was easy enough, and hopefully it also got you thinking, hey, how does all of this just magically work? Oh, well, let's also do the user can check out, right? So we are just going to recopy what we've done before. Actually, I'm just going to copy it from, no, I need the login too. Let's quickly do it together. Don't need any of this. Okay, we're visiting, then we're logging in. Then we need what, a products page. That's going to take in a driver. Okay, then we're going to use the products page to add any product to cart, irrelevant of what we are adding, right? Because we only want to make sure that a user can check out. Who cares which product we add? Then we need a shopping cart page. And by the way, I can do this so easily because obviously I've done this flow so many times. I wouldn't expect anyone else here unfamiliar with the application under test to be able to do this flow so easily, but I would expect that you to be able to look at a page and link it back to a page object, especially the page objects that already exist in the code, and then be able to create that flow. I'm going to call that cart page, shopping cart page. That needs a driver too. Then we want to visit it, right? Visit that page. And then, oh, we actually don't even need a shopping cart page, do we? Let me see. No, there's no checkout page. There's no checkout. Let me see here. I see I even forgot the flow. You got the shopping. All we need to do is, do we need to go? Oh, we do need to go to checkout. Sorry about that. Cart page dot checkout. No. Oh, are we just going to checkout page directly? Let me see. Yeah, I think we're just going to checkout page directly. Oh, I'm logged out. In. At the cart. We're probably just going here directly. Yeah, we're probably just going here directly. So let me fix this. Checkout. Checkout. Step 1 page. That's that. Step 1 page. That visit. And then what are we gonna do? Checkout. Dot enter personal details. There you go. Then we need a checkout step 2, right? Checkout overview page. Checkout overview page. Checkout overview page takes in a driver. Checkout overview page. We are already there. Do we even need to do anything with it? Let me check. So I could, of course, check the solution, but just wanted to do that. Oh, I probably need to click finish. Finish. There we go. Beautiful. And then we have an assertion at the bottom. Assert checkout complete page is displayed. That, let's see if that works. If it doesn't, we'll see what happened. What's wrong. Run that. Cool. And I see in that time we've got more people completing. If you're completing this successfully, please mark that in the polls. Cool. Everything, our user was able to check out successfully. Let's go quickly take a look at our test here. User can check out. Let me zoom in a bit. Make this bigger. We're running the test. Let's see. Let's make sure that there's nothing fake going on here. Adding an item to a cart and checking out. Super fast, super easy, and we are done. So that's kind of how the test should look like. Again, you can go back to the solution. If you weren't able to get it, the solution would be end-to-end solution test, right? So there's that, how it worked. And so now just a little bit of explanation of exactly what's going on here. So how were we able to so easily create page objects and just run tests? Well, there are two important Maven packages at play here. One of them is Sauce Bindings that makes it really easy to plug in and use Sauce Labs. I'll show you what that looks like in a moment. And then the other one is this Sauce Labs JUnit plugin. Sauce Labs JUnit package that makes it really easy to report test results and test status. So if we're looking at our end-to-end test, you can see it inherits from a Sauce-based test, and that actually you can see comes from that package. And so just by inheriting from this test class, we get a bunch of the capabilities. You can see a constructor that automatically sets a few configurations. You can see our before hook, which uses Sauce bindings. So Sauce bindings is a really friendly wrapper around the Selenium API, making grid integration much easier. If any of you are familiar with how to create a Selenium grid, it usually takes a lot of code like this. Look here, something like this is how we used to do it. But the Sauce bindings, it's much easier. So you can see we're creating new Sauce options, starting a new session, creating a new session and then starting it. That's really kind of all it takes to start a Windows 10 Chrome session in Sauce Labs. Then we have a Sauce Test Watcher. That's from JUnit 4, okay, which extends Test Watcher from JUnit 4. And because of that, we are able to do a succeed, a method that executes on succeed, in which case we are saying that whether the test passed or failed. And then if it failed, we are able to put the failure reason in our test. And also we stop the Sauce Lab session saying that our test has failed. And so that's how all of that functionality easily got into our test without us having to code anything extra, just by extending the Sauce-based test. And in the Sauce-based test underneath the hood uses Sauce bindings. That part is not like super critical to this workshop at all. I simply kind of wanted to explain the magic happening underneath the hood so that nobody is confused. Let me see here what we got. So with our tests, what did we just accomplish? Let's go in here and update this document. So our login page renders, right? We performed that check. So let's grab this check mark. We tested that. How did we test it? Well, that was this test right here, the very initial test. Making sure that our application renders, opening it up, visiting, and asserting that it's displayed. That's one of the really nice things about end-to-end functional tests is they test the entire stack of our application, right? From the HTML, the rendering, all the way down to the database. And if there's any kind of interactions with the database's API, it tests that entire vertical stack. And so if this page comes up, we know that our application is at least up and working. Does everything work as expected? No, absolutely not. But we at least know that our application comes up and our users can see it. So we did that. So what did we do? We used end-to-end UI, end-to-end functional. That's all kind of very similar. So we're going to keep that. It was a functional test. That was an end-to-end test that was touching the UI. So we're just going to keep those in there. And so what technologies did we use? We used Selenium primarily. We used Sauce Labs as well, but Sauce Labs is not really necessary. You can obviously do it through a cloud and get the video recordings and the screenshots and all that kind of extra functionality, or you can just do it with Selenium on a local browser or even like a Docker container. Valid user can log in, same exact stuff. So I'm just literally going to copy this and paste it and paste that, right? We just wrote 3 functional tests meeting each one of these requirements. Oh, by the way, and if you wanted to ensure that all of these tests run and work, you can go to your terminal and use Maven test using -d test flag. And then if you just say end-to-end tests, it'll run all of the tests together. So let that run. So you can see the tests have started. It's going to execute one test method at a time. If we come back here to Sauce Labs, you'll see we have one session running. Here's what it looks like when it's running. You can already see app renders less than a minute ago by me was executed. Here's another login test that was executed and passed, and now the last one. So that's how you can run all the tests together. And throughout the workshop, you'll see us filtering different tests in different ways to achieve the desired results that we want.